Apple just wrapped up their spring-loaded event, and holy crap, they announced a lot. Now, the large majority of it looks awesome, and we'll talk about that. But they also left me with a lot of questions. In fact, more than I came with. So, let's get into it. First, let's get the quick stuff out of the way. AirTags, they exist. These were originally rumored clear back in mid-2019, and leakers have said just about every event since that they would be coming any day now, but to no avail. And look, they're not that exciting. It's just a Bluetooth-based tracker, like Tile, but made by Apple. They're compatible with iOS devices running iOS 14.5 or later. You add them into the app, and then once they're in the app, the tag will show up just like any other Find My device. And if you tap on the tag, it can sound an alert to the tag's built-in speaker. But the real magic comes into play with newer phones, the iPhone 11 or later, any phone with the U1 chip built in. Precision finding will tell you both the direction and the distance to your tag down to the foot, which is pretty cool. Best of all, however, the ecosystem comes to your advantage, with hundreds of millions of Apple devices building a global tracking network. That's pretty cool. As long as it's nearby any Apple device, it will continue to broadcast its location to your Find My app no matter where it is on the Earth and no matter where you are. And that's fantastic. Additionally, let's say someone finds something that you lost. They can tap their phone against the AirTag and it will show them contact information. And it works with any NFC-capable smartphone, not just the iPhone, which is really cool. Last, if you happen to end up with someone else's thing in your possession, you will get an alert on your iPhone telling you that you're traveling with someone else's gear. And if you don't happen to see it in time and you haven't found it after a few minutes, it will sound the audible alarm and will send an alert to the proper person's owner. Pretty cool. The software is, I think, the strength. The tags really aren't. They're really not that cool. They're IP67 rated, and they have a coin cell battery that's user replaceable and lasts about a year, which is pretty nice. However, the form factor of the tag itself is really where the disappointment sets in my opinion. These things are 8 millimeters thick, which is 1/3 of an inch. That's not very thin. By comparison, the thickest Tile Pro is just 6.5 millimeters, and the thinnest Tile is just 2.4 millimeters. That means that the AirTag is really going to be relegated to keychains and bags, which, to be fair, is what most people need tracked. But I would have really appreciated like a credit card sized one, or at least an adhesive variant that I could stick onto random stuff. Look, I have a theory. Apple doesn't really care about the AirTag. They care more about the Find My ecosystem. Starting with iOS 14.5, Apple has allowed third-party accessory makers to apply for Find My Network certification. And a few have already been announced. One is like a Chipolo tracker, which is very similar to AirTag, actually. And then there are things like this enormous e-bike. Apple wants to become the de facto tracking system for everything when it comes to Bluetooth-enabled Bluetooth LE devices. They get money through the MFI certification, and it pushes you, me, us, consumers, towards the Apple-focused ecosystem if everything just gets tracked through the Find My app. It's a win-win situation for Apple. And you know what? If you buy an AirTag along the way, they won't complain. They run $29 each, or $99 for a 4-pack. And if you'd like me to do a video on them, let us know in the comments down below, because I am fairly interested in them. Fun fact number 1 that wasn't in the keynote. There is a $449 accessory for a $29 product. Next up, our sponsor, private internet access. Look, you've seen VPN ads before on YouTube. You've heard the talking points. So let me just tell you why I am a paying customer of PIA and have been since before they ever decided to sponsor me. They now have more than 30,000 servers in more than 70 countries, and their servers are fast. If you are doing something high bandwidth like peer-to-peer sharing or streaming video, PIA will get you closer to your standard throughput than any other VPN I've tried. Just ask my Plex server. Just kidding. Everything in there is very legitimate. The other benefit that comes from such a high number of servers is that geo restrictions, they're bypassed more easily. I have 3 popular VPNs, and PIA is the only one that works with Netflix UK at the moment. With multiple payment options like PayPal and Bitcoin, apps for just about every platform you can imagine, and more than a decade of awards and praise from big names like PC Mag, It's no wonder why PIA is the internet's leading no-log VPN. PIA is giving Snazzy Labs viewers a special price at the moment with my link below. 2 years plus 3 extra months free for just $2.59 a month. At that price, you have to try it out. And if for some weird reason you don't like it, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Try PIA at the link below. Next up, the best Apple news that I have heard in years. Here it is. This horrid, awful, demonic, satanic, pure evil remote, it's finally dead. Finally. Okay, more on that in a sec. Apple announced a new Apple TV 4K, replacing the now 3.5-year-old 5th generation. The previous model ran an A10X Fusion chip, which was a variant of the iPhone 7's SoC, which is certainly beginning to show its age. And while performance has been suitable on my TVs, I do get occasional frame drops in menus, and certain newer Apple Arcade games really push the frame rate into the low teens. It's not good. Now, the new model rocks an A12 Bionic, which is not a new SoC. That was found originally in the iPhone XS. So not quite the cutting-edge chip that I personally was hoping for, but it's likely more than suitable for its intended use. And save for a couple software differences, the old and new generations, really, they're very similar. The new box supports high frame rate HDR, which will work great for upcoming sports content that are pushing those boundaries. And you can actually now use your iPhone's front-facing camera and ambient light sensor to calibrate your display. Interestingly, but probably obviously, it doesn't actually change your TV's settings. It just changes the output color of the Apple TV itself. I can't imagine that this will provide superb results for high-end televisions that are already, relatively well calibrated, but who knows, maybe I'll end up surprised. You can bet we'll be testing this on the channel coming soon. But let's get to the part that actually matters, the remote. Oh, the remote. Every single Apple TV remote has been, to be nice, garbage. And the iteration that we've dealt with for the last few years has been the worst. The trackpad is unreliable and imprecise. Scrubbing is the bane of my existence. It's way too thin to be held comfortably. It always ends up upside down. And losing it, well, it's easier than breathing. The new remote, it's ugly. And it is covered in buttons. And ew, it is perfect. With the current Apple TV, for example, to turn off your television, you have to hold down the TV button and then wait for a menu to pop up and then press power off. And now, there's just a power button. What a novel idea. They finally added a mute key so that I don't have to say, "What was that, honey?" Down volume, down volume, down, 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 down. Oh, hold on. Down, 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 down. No, it just, there's a mute key. Yeah. The confusingly labeled menu button, it's now a back button, and the dedicated Siri button has been moved to the side. This thing is a chonker by comparison to the old one, and it has a rounded back, which is cool because, hey, ergonomics. The terrible, horrible, no good, very bad trackpad, it's been replaced with a 4-way D-pad that remains touch capable for those of you masochists that preferred that navigation method, but it also now supports jogging by spinning along the outside perimeter. The iPod is back, baby! Also, this is just kind of how real professionals jog video when they're editing because, well, it's the right way to do it. And I am so glad this is here. Oh boy, how howdy. Can you tell I'm excited? Now, fun fact number 2, this wasn't in the keynote either, but the remote is sold separately for $59, and it is compatible with any tvOS-based TV. That's confirmed. And so if you've got an old Apple TV and you just want the new remote, you're done. That's great. Also, it's, the new remote is now bundled with the Apple TV HD, which is not new. That remains unchanged since 2015, and it's still $149. It has not changed price at all. Do not buy this under any circumstances. And now we get to the part that, well, most Snazzy Labs viewers care about. Hello, I see you. The iMac, or just the Mac in general. Apple has released a new M1 iMac and the internet is all over the place with love and hate and nothing really in between. But just like the jam between your toes, I'm in the place that nobody goes. I'm right in the middle, host. See, look, there's a bunch of things that I really like and some things that I don't really like. The new colors, they're a lot of fun. And for all you dinguses saying like, why did they choose these colors? Hello, it's the 6 colors from the retro Apple logo, plus silver. Yeah, so there you have it. Look, I don't know if I'm ballsy enough to have a bright orange computer in my house, but I do think that the addition of colors is fun. Here's the issue. Ignore that chin for a minute, okay? We'll get to that. The glass surrounding all of these displays, no matter what color you get, it's white. I thought we were done with that, right? White is a horrid color to surround a screen with because not only does it look stupid when it's powered off, but it also weirds out your brain's internal white balance when you're doing color correction work. There's a reason that every professional display is bordered with black. Now look, it's clear that these things are not designed for pros. I mean, clearly, they don't offer it in space gray, so it's not a pro machine. But look, the M1, it's a powerful chip. This is a very pretty DCI-P3 4.5K display. And look, it could benefit from a pro workflow. It could handle it. But the white glass kind of messes with that. Okay, now let's get to where we're talking, where everyone's freaking out, the pastel chin. Okay. So Apple said that they went with a desaturated color on the chin because the more contrasty version would have been distracting. And I can actually see that. But here's an idea. Don't have a chin. In a confusing pursuit of thinness, I feel like this is a thing we talk about every year with Apple. It never changes. They have placed the entire computer in the chin. The motherboard, the speakers, everything save for the display. This has allowed the computer to be 11.5 millimeters thin, which is crazy. In fact, it's so thin that Marques Brownlee pointed out that it's too shallow to mount a standard depth headphone jack, and that's likely the reason that they have relocated the headphone jack to the left side of the computer. But yeah, why? This otherwise very nice futuristic design looks oddly dated by the massive colored bezel at the bottom. And just frankly, to make matters worse, the Apple logo is missing, which gives me this monolithic crimson chin vibe. Now look, the computer wouldn't have gotten much thicker by just stacking the motherboard behind the display, eliminating the chin altogether, and then because Apple has decided to exclude the power supply anyways, it wouldn't have made a difference. Okay, let's talk about that power supply. I kind of struggle with this decision. On one hand, I mocked the Mac Mini's form factor earlier this year because it could have been so much smaller if they had used a laptop-style power supply instead of the massive internal one. But the iMac is not a small computer. It's a massive desktop computer, and having a janky, dangling power supply or one that you have to find a place to mount is just annoying. Furthermore, the new MagSafe connector is so overly engineered that my abdomen hurts. I mean, like seriously, who asked for this? And the external NIC or Ethernet jack, that's kind of weird as well, but okay. At least the most likely parts to fail are, outside of the computer now. Interestingly, the power supply, it's 143 watts. And with our larger ultrafine 5K display at peak brightness, it draws just 61 watts from the wall. And the M1 Mac Mini, which is the same chipset as what's in this new M1 iMac, under maximum load, it draws just over 30 watts. So that's about 90 watts of maximum power draw and about 50 watts of headroom. So maybe this is the same SKU PSU that will ship with the larger iMac later this year. I don't know. Last complaint about the design. The stand, it's still not friggin' height adjustable. Now, you can order one with a VESA mount, but you can't change it. It's stuck that way forever. When you go to sell it, no one wants a VESA mount. So it's just weird. Even in the Keynote's promo video, somebody tilted the display towards themselves, craning their neck downward to look at the screen, which is so bad from an ergonomic standpoint. And products like this, well, they're going to continue to exist to fix the iMac. But despite those small complaints, I actually think that this is a rock-solid machine. The M1 is mighty powerful. The 24-inch display, it's a little too small for my personal preferences, but it will no doubt be stellar quality with excellent color accuracy and very good pixel density. The macOS 9 style wallpapers, they're perfect. And the Magic Keyboard with Touch ID, that's superb. Now, Apple has not announced pricing on these new keys yet. I bet they're gonna be frickin' expensive. But it's a nice addition that desktop Macs have lacked for years now. Though I must say I would have hoped for Face ID instead, since I don't use an Apple keyboard and never will. And I'm not about to buy an Apple keyboard just so that I can occasionally push a Touch ID button. Everything you order comes in the color that you order. So if you buy a blue iMac, you're getting a blue power cable, a blue braided lightning cable, which is hilarious but awesome, blue keyboard, or mouse, or trackpad. Look, this Mac, it's not for me, but I'm Okay, so I'm a little disappointed that we didn't see the big boy Mac with the larger display, greater resolution, and the next tier up in Apple Silicon. But this upgrade, this was much needed. Lower-end iMacs have long been an abysmal value, and this is an excellent course correction. With a starting price point of $1,299, I think that they're actually a decent value and they have power to boot, as long as you're not a gamer. I mean, look at this guy. Has he ever held a controller before? Why is he holding a controller? Fun fact number 3 that wasn't in the keynote. You can actually now buy the M1 Mac Mini with a 10 gig Ethernet connection. Yeah, boy, I sure wish that was ready months ago when I bought my Mac Mini. Thanks, Apple. Now, let's get to the apex of the keynote, the part that is simultaneously the most exciting and the most confusing. That's right, the 2021 iPad Pro. Most notably, both iPad models, they house the M1 chip. That's right, this is moving away from the iOS-style chips and into the Mac-style chips. It's kind of surprising, honestly, as it further blends the line between MacBook and iPad Pro. But since Apple is pushing the iPad as a computer for professionals, I think it makes sense that they would put in their desktop-level chip, though it is insane that the fastest tablet on the market just got almost 50% faster. And it's also weird to think that an iPad and an iMac have the exact same chip, like identical. That also means that the new iPad has Thunderbolt 3, though boy, I really think Apple missed the opportunity to put 2 ports on this thing. Maybe 2 on one side, 1 on each side. I don't know. After all, this is a Pro device. Now, of course, it also is the first M1 device with a 5G radio, which begs the question, why doesn't the MacBook line have a 5G capable device? That has been a thing that traveling Mac users have wanted for well over a decade. Maybe later this year. Look, there is a front-facing camera that has been improved. It's specially made for the iPad, and it has this wide field of view, which is nice in and of itself, but with a new feature called Center Stage, it will actually track your position in the frame and track the position of other people in the frame and try and keep you centered as if it were on a gimbal. Pretty cool. Now, if you shell out the shekels for the 12.9-inch version, and you'll need to do that because it now starts at $1,099 instead of $999, you'll get what Apple dubs as the Liquid Retina XDR display. Oh boy, marketing is good. It's just mini LED. But well, wait a minute, it's mini LED, a technology that Apple has been working on for years. Other people too. And Apple's first attempt at this, it looks mighty impressive. My current 2020 iPad Pro and most modern LCDs consist of hundreds of little backlights, but they don't have localized dimming. So if one LED is on, well then they're all on. So in order to illuminate just one pixel, the entire backlight array needs to be engaged, which leaves you that classic gray look that you get from an LCD where the black levels aren't actually black. Well, with the Pro Display XDR, yeah, that one, be sure to check out our review on that, Apple upgraded to 576 backlight zones, meaning that if you needed to illuminate just a single pixel, only a small portion of the display's actual backlights would illuminate. Now, mini LED TVs are expected to take this technology even further. They're expected to hit the market later this year, and some of the high-end ones will have up to 3,000 LED backlight zones, providing even better low-light control. And then Tim comes in today looking hunky and shredded, and he unzips his jacket and he whips out his big new iPad with over 2,500 backlight zones in a 13-inch display, consisting of over 10,000 individual LED backlights. That is nearly 5 times better than the zone control that Apple's $5,000 computer monitor has. It's unbelievable. Now, because I know some of you have more snark than brains, you're going to go, yeah, well, why don't they just use an OLED instead? Look, OLED does have its benefits. Every single pixel is individually lit, so you don't have to have backlights. Every single pixel lights up for itself. But OLED displays have other problems. The chief one is that they don't get that bright. My $4,000 OLED TV can sustain just 168 nits of peak brightness, which means I basically have to watch it in a room that's fairly dim to get a good experience. The new iPad Pro's mini LED display, over 1,000 nits of sustained brightness, while pushing the peak brightness to over 1,600 nits. For true HDR workflows, brightness and contrast are everything, and the iPad Pro succeeds in areas where OLED frankly can't. And this is where Apple they start to seem sus. They have put the best display that they've ever made in an iPad, and the best processor they've ever made in an iPad. Not a Mac, an iPad. You can spec these devices with up to 2 terabytes of storage, which propels the internal RAM to 16 gigs on an iPad. That's at parity with the best Apple Silicon Mac available, and it pushes the iPad's price point to nearly $3,000 when fully equipped. And it's in this insanely thin package with superb battery life. It makes no sense. Not because the hardware couldn't be utilized, but because it's not being utilized. This product, as iPad OS exists today, it is stupid. There are basically no apps that can take full advantage of it. And I have zero incentive to upgrade from my 2020 iPad. And the only reason I upgraded to that was because of YouTube. My 2018 model iPad Pro was already more capable than I or pretty much anyone else could take advantage of today. That needs to change. And the only way that it will, the only way that Apple is going to convince developers that the iPad Pro is truly a pro product, that it's capable of professional workloads, is to stop the lip service and prove it. I don't know if it will be Xcode or Final Cut Pro, Logic, or all of them, but something has to be coming. And I think, I hope, I pray that it comes this year. A device with touch, pen, cursor, and keyboard input has the potential to be Apple's most powerful and versatile product, period. I envision a scenario where Final Cut Pro on the Mac runs well, and Final Cut Pro on the iPad runs well, but that combined, by running them both simultaneously in multi-screen, multi-input environments, by playing to each platform's strengths, that there will become a perfect synergy amongst them, that we can finally put the debate of, well, when's touch coming to the Mac, or when is the iPad getting Mac OS, or when are the two platforms combining, to rest. Awkward convergence of these two distinct platforms, it's not the objective. Or at least I hope it's not, because that would be a pretty crappy world to live in. Then again, you can buy AirPods that look like this. So maybe my estimation of Apple's ultimate goals are too optimistic. Well, what did you think of this keynote? Did you enjoy it? If you did, give this video a like. Actually, I don't really care if you liked it or not. If you liked this video, give it a like. If you didn't, well, send this video to someone you hate. They're gonna despise it. Let me know in the comments below. Are any of the new products announced today exciting to you? Are you going to pick any of them up? Yeah, I'm done. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, stay snazzy. See you later, folks.